I was wondering, how would I handle an escrow dispute?
An escrow dispute is basically when buyer and seller can't agree whether the buyer is ultimately going to get their escrow funds back if the contract cancels or the buyer can't close for any particular reason. So the as-is contract does direct the buyer and seller to try to figure it out between themselves. The contract gives them 10 days to figure it out, and if that doesn't work, then they should go in front of a mediator and then ultimately go to litigation if it gets to that point. So escrow disputes are really complicated. If you're working with a seller and you're the listing agent, one thing to be wary of is going under contract and then trying to close while there's a pending escrow dispute. Most title companies are not going to close while there isn't an effective release and cancellation that's been signed on the initial contract. So you want to be wary of that in terms of timing the negotiations between the buyers and the sellers. So the contract directs us to figure it out between the buyers and the sellers, and go to mediation if that's necessary, and then the final step is to go to litigation, which is something that we normally want to avoid because the cost-benefit analysis is the cost of going to and through litigation, in particular on a standard transaction where the escrow deposit's less than $10,000. The benefit of that is nil compared to what the buyer or the seller would actually agree if they just came to the ultimate decision between themselves. So there's a lot of different avenues to take when there's an escrow dispute, and there are issues with going back under contract when there isn't a pending escrow dispute, but the contract does give us, the as-is contract does direct us as to the steps necessary to take to try to resolve those things, and really the best and most effective ways to come to an agreement between the buyers and the sellers before we get to mediation or litigation, because those are going to cost additional funds.